What's up, guys? We have a good fight night card. Leon Edwards versus Sean Brady in London, and it's catering to the England time zone. Prelims will start at 1 p.m. Eastern, main card at 4 p.m. Eastern. Perfect. And it's a fight night where not just the main event, but even the co-main event matter. Title implications. You have some good matchmaking on this as well, some other good fights, good prospects, the returning of some fighters. Hopefully these kind of fight night cards become the average. And then the fight of the night is the main event. Leon Edwards versus Sean Brady. But it just depends on which version of Leon we get. If it's point fight Leon, then maybe it's not the fight of the night, but they are the two best fighters on the entire card, so should be a good one. And with that, let's go to the first fight. A fight between kickboxers. Guram Kutateladze versus Caue Fernandes. This is an interesting starter to the card because Guram beat Jordan Vucenic in his last fight, but Jordan Vucenic is fighting later on the card. I think this is a way for the UFC strategically to get fans to watch the card early, right? Because Guram versus Fernandes is an absolute banger. Like, this is a really good fight. One of the best fights on the card. Both kickboxers who like to reset often after exchanges, tap for tat, then reset for more trading of shots. But Guram doesn't want to get into a contest of power with Fernandes. He has more UFC experience and needs to fight like a veteran. Fernandes has the more knockout power. He wants to land that one big shot. But Guram is more versatile with his stance switching, different techniques for combinations, and now added a mix of takedowns, which helped him defeat Jordan Vucenic. Training with Hamza and all that has done wonders to his wrestling. I mean, he wrestles actually really good. I mean, for a guy that was rarely shooting takedowns before, this guy could wrestle at a decent level right now, and he's only getting better at it. But both are strong kickers. Fernandes likes to keep a wide stance, perfect for Guram to leg kick and shoot takedowns, which also opens up more strikes, but Fernandes could get more desperate for the knockout if he's losing rounds to the wrestling. Therefore, I'm going with Guram to win the fight by a TKO in the third round. Then we go to the first English fighter on the card, Nathan Fletcher, the grappler, versus Colin Loughran, the well-rounded fighter. Loughran's lack of fights against takedowns makes this a hard pick to make. He's only had to defend one takedown, and that was against Jake Hadley. Watching fights before the UFC isn't going to help as much because he's gotten way better during his 3 UFC fights. If Fletcher can get some takedowns, then I'd pick him to win. He fights by the new meta. Throw a punch, combo that with a takedown, create contact, push against the fence, hold him there, body lock trip, control or advance for a submission. So even if he doesn't get the fight on the mat, I think he can hold Loughran on the fence, as Loughran is very slow, has limited head movement, which will make him respect some of the punches, and that furthers the success of the takedowns, and Fletcher would eventually win by decision. Now, Loughran could successfully sprawl and brawl, but I think the grappling heavy game plan would stall out a win for Fletcher, so I'm going with him by a decision. Then we go to the much lesser skilled fight between Shauna Bannon and Puja Tomar. Both are strikers. Bannon has a traditional martial arts background. You can tell by the way she throws her kicks, and Tomar's a kicker as well who throws them more like a conventional Muay Thai fighter. Bannon just can't throw punches that well. Tomar has negative reach though at 59 inches, which has to be the shortest reach in UFC history. But she's not even short, right? You would think she's like 4'10", but no, she's actually 5'4". Pretty much the same height as Bannon, but has 6 inches less of reach. So I'm gonna go with the female Artem by decision. Then we scale up the fight to Christian Leroy Duncan versus Andrey Pulyaev. CLD is the much better striker. He has great footwork, which is important to him winning, as Andrey, although a striker as well, is incredibly slow, loose, and lanky. His defense revolves around backward movements and sticking out the jab. If CLD can cut off the cage in boxing range, he sparks Andrey. But the leg kick should be effective. Andrey can shoot takedowns, but he doesn't seem that strong or technical at it. So I'm going CLD by a second round knockout. Then at heavyweight, we have the number 8 ranked Marcin Tybura versus the number 13 ranked Mick Parkin. Can't bet against Mick Parkin in this one. Both are well-rounded and have good heavyweight cardio, but Tybura's chin is gone and Parkin is just faster. Tybura will shoot takedowns and float at range, staying away until the shot, but I think Parkin defends the takedowns and just lands some punches, dropping Tybura, finishes the fight on the ground, get a second Tybura knockout win for his camp after Tom Aspinall. So I'm going to go with Mick Parkin by a second round knockout. Then we scale up the skills to Lonnie Kavanagh versus Felipe dos Santos. Great fight between two well-rounded fighters, but Kavanagh has the advantage in almost every area besides height, reach, and submissions. Felipe, like Charles Oliveira, who he trains with, doesn't have great head movement, which is disastrous against the lightning speed and knockout power of Kavanagh, combined with great footwork, shot placements, versatility in the pocket at distance, and that bridge in the middle. Felipe needs to make this a brawl and get away from a technical match. He needs to have kind of like a street fighter mentality. His chin is going to get tested, and so is heart and grit. He can't technically compete with Kavanagh, but I still don't think that changes the fight that much, honestly. He probably walks into a 3-piece combo and gets KO'd. I'm going with Lonnie Kavanagh by a second round highlight reel knockout. Then another good fight between strikers, Jai Herbert and Chris Padilla. Although both can wrestle, Herbert's takedowns are looking pretty good lately. Landed some of those in his last fight, fight where Padilla won his UFC debut using his takedowns. The length of Herbert is going to be an issue for Padilla. There's not a lot of 6'1" lightweights, and Herbert has some lethal striking. Same guy who head kicked Ilia Topuria, still insane that didn't secure a knockout. I mean, what is Topuria's chin made out of? He also has good distance management, and Padilla is very basic with his striking, but he's decent enough with it. He has a good jab, he moves well, but his best variable is his precision and accuracy. He can land elbows precisely like in his last fight, and has a 61% accuracy stat, which is above average. The only thing is he doesn't pressure much. Keeping himself at range against Herbert will make that fight a lot tougher for himself, right? If he's constantly along the fence and Herbert's pressuring him, it's going to be hard to ever get in and land some punches on Herbert. He needs to switch it up and put pressure on Herbert instead, and don't let Herbert control the distance and pace. But I think Herbert's going to win the fight by decision, based off the distance management. Then we go to the well-rounded fight between Nathaniel Wood and Morgan Charriere. I feel like Wood is the better fighter, but probably gets dropped and outgunned. He is a small featherweight, and Charriere should have the power advantage. The thing is, I favor Wood's abilities in the striking. He has smooth footwork, excellent combinations, although can miscalculate the distance and get dropped with his chin up in the sky like against Andrey. He got bombed on by that left hook. Give Charriere an opening like that, he'll be laying flat on the canvas. Charriere is an opportunistic fighter who capitalizes on openings very well. He's not as effective in the neutral fighting, where it's kind of just going back and forth. So I think Wood will win most of the exchanges, just not the exchanges that matter the most. So I'm going with Morgan Charriere by a third round TKO. Then we go to Jordan Vucenic versus Chris Duncan. This is the fight that puts Vucenic on the map if the Guram fight already didn't. Chris Duncan is fairly well rounded, but much more of a grappler who is outgunned at everything. Vucenic outstrikes him, if he wants to, outwrestles him, and finishes. This is a performance bonus win for Vucenic, snapping strikes at Duncan's lack of defense, defensive takedowns, and drops him within 2 rounds, finishing the fight. Then we go to Molly McCann versus Alexia Thainara. Thainara is a decent grappler with decent submissions. McCann hasn't defended a single takedown in her last 4 fights. Therefore, Thainara wins by a second round submission. Then we go to Kevin 4570 Holland versus the now part-time fighter Gunnar Goonie Nelson. It's like MMA is Goonie's side quest at this point. He fights, then disappears for a few years, and then gracefully returns when we needed him the most. I feel like most fans want Goonie to sleep Holland after that Rampage podcast. That's what it seems like. Not only did Holland say that he doesn't train for his opponent's style, but it also shows in his fights. He went into the Reinier de Ridder fight almost like he didn't even know de Ridder can grapple. I mean, he was focusing on trying to fight Rampage Jackson over his opponent. Here's the thing, fighting Gunnar Nelson without a good game plan or an understanding of his unique style is going to be extremely difficult for Kevin Holland. Goonie's karate style is fast and powerful. He has good linear footwork, although it is still linear, right? Holland's a sniper, and you typically want to avoid the center line against a long sniper. Goonie also has a great ground game with fast submissions. Man, if Goonie fought regularly, I think he easily wins, but there is a chance that Holland lands a good punch on maybe the rusty reflexes of Goonie. I still think he blitzes, body lock trips, and submits Holland in the first or second rounds though. So I'm going first or second round submission for Gunnar Nelson. Then we go to the co-main event with potential title fight implications. Although I think the winner fights Jiri Prochazka first. The former light heavyweight champion and current number 3 ranked Jan Blachowicz is going to try to deliver that Polish power against the surging and the only real rising contender at light heavyweight, the number 6 ranked Carlos Ulberg. Jan is the much more experienced and well-rounded fighter, a striker by trade, but defeated Ulberg's teammate Israel Adesanya using both his striking and wrestling, right? It's not that he needed to wrestle to beat Adesanya because he was also beating him in the striking, regardless of what the commentators were saying during that fight. Jan fought probably his best performance ever when he fought Adesanya, showed how well-rounded he can be during a fight. But this is an opportunity for Ulberg to get revenge. Ulberg is fast, much faster than Jan, has knockout power, good footwork, and the athleticism to surprise many opponents based on his reflexes. Jan also has knockout power, but he's not athletic in the traditional sense. He has an unorthodox way of striking that throws off the timing against some of the best strikers in the world. I think in his prime, Jan would win this fight handily. But at 42, after so many fights at the highest level, with all the training camps, and last fought nearly 2 years ago, there's too many X factors. Ulberg could win by either a knockout or a point fight to a decision. No one beats Father Time, and I'm going with the prime striker, Carlos Ulberg, by decision. Jan Blachowicz does not want to rush him. He cannot be throwing combinations forward like he did against Thiago Santos. Ulberg is a counter striker. He wants his opponents to run at him, and then he counters them with the left hook. That fight can go very similar of when Jan fought Thiago Santos. So Jan's fight IQ has gotten better throughout his career, and I think he wouldn't make that mistake of bum rushing Carlos Ulberg, which I'm still astonished by how Alonzo Menafield decided to rush him like that. Nobody should be fighting Ulberg like that. Don't rush him. Don't run at him. That's the dumbest way to fight this guy. He will just knock you out. I don't think Jan will. I think Jan will make it a technical striking match and shoot takedowns and all that stuff. He can absolutely win. I think it's nearly a 50-50 fight, but considering all the X factors of the Jan Blachowicz, I'm gonna go with the fighter in his prime who's been active, Carlos Ulberg. And then we go to the main event. The former welterweight champion and current #1 ranked fighter of the welterweight division, Leon Edwards, is looking to find his path to reclaim his title, but by first fighting the #5 ranked Shawn Brady. Both fighters are well-rounded, although Leon is a striker primarily, as Brady is a grappler. Leon has great kickboxing skills, good long-range attacks, specifically kicks. I think he throws kicks better than he throws punches. He also has good clinch strikes and close, if the opponent wants to get into the pocket. He has a solid wrestling game, good Brazilian jiu-jitsu, but without his aggression, he is going to get Bilal'd again. Shawn Brady's like another version of Bilal Muhammad. Like, they fight very similar. He's like, I don't want to say Walmart version. He's like just a lesser version of Bilal, you know? If they were both Lamborghinis, Bilal's like a Murcielago and Brady's like a Huracan. Both some of the top tier, both have like the same kind of specs, but one is obviously better than the other. Shawn Brady is a strong grappler, has volume punching to his stand-up, but the difference is he has lethal submissions. So he does fit that new meta of cardio fighting. He'll keep throwing punches, shoots a takedown against the fence, chain wrestles, holds top position with the occasional ground and pound to open a submission attempt. If Leon isn't pressuring forward, Brady will smother him with volume and beat him just like Bilal did. Except that Brady has that submission game that even Bilal respects enough to say that he will get the win like that. I agree as well. Shawn Brady wins by a 4th round submission. I think Bilal said 3rd round submission. And Shawn Brady's the favorite. He's the -165 against a +140 Leon Edwards. I think it's a good bet. Both ways, you know, if you think Leon's gonna win, he only changes his fighting style. +140 is good. And then for Shawn Brady, that's a decent line as well. Gunnar Nelson is a slight favorite against Kevin Holland. The -120 gets a +100. Carlos Ulberg is that big of a favorite? Okay, I would not bet on Ulberg with those odds. He's a -300 against a +240. So even though I'm picking Ulberg to win, Jan as an underdog isn't that bad. +240, that could be a steal. Alexia Tynera is a -205 favorite against a +170 Molly McCann. I agree with that. Jordan Vucenic is a -480 against a +360 Chris Duncan. Yeah, that's a parlay, not a straight bet. Morgan Charriere is a -160 against a +135 Nathaniel Wood. I agree with that. Jai Herbert and Chris Padilla is a pick'em. Interesting. I like those odds for Jai Herbert. Mick Parkin is a slight favorite, -120 against a +100 Marcin Tybura. Those are good odds for Mick Parkin. CLD is a -550 favorite against a +400 Andrey Pulyaev. Yeah, that's another parlay right there, not a straight bet. Lonnie Kavanagh is a -330 favorite against a +260 Felipe dos Santos. Another parlay. What's Lonnie Kavanagh by knockout? Lonnie Kavanagh by knockout is that +275? That's not bad. But what's Kavanagh by decision? -115. Interesting. He's winning by either of those, I would say. But I could see him getting the knockout. Either way, I would say it's a good parlay for Lonnie Kavanagh. Puja Tomar is the underdog. +135 against the -165 Shauna Bannon. You can't overlook female Artem. I'm going with the underdog in that one. Nathan Fletcher and Caolan Loughran is pretty much a pick'em. Fletcher is a very slight favorite, but I like those odds for Fletcher. And then Guram Kutateladze is a -440 favorite against the +340 Kaue Fernandes. Interesting. I thought it'd be a lot closer than that. That's another pick'em right there. So I don't see a lot of underdogs winning. The best underdog I would say is Jan Blachowicz, just because of how big of an underdog he is. I'm picking Ulberg, but man, +240 is crazy. I did not expect Ulberg to be favored that heavy. And maybe the best overall pick, I mean, obviously, Jordan Vucenic is probably the most likely fighter to win on the card. So those are my predictions for the UFC London card. Hope you guys enjoyed it. What are your guys' picks for this card? Which is your favorite fight on the card if it's not the main event? And I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys did, make sure you give it a like, and I'll see you guys in the next video.